start planning, the better off you will be. Call State Farm agent Nathan Ferguson today and thank yourself later. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Looking for a fireplace? Koval Building Supply at 40 Monroe Avenue in Uniontown is more than your plumbing supply store. We specialize in fireplaces of all fuel types, such as gas, wood, pellet, and electric. We're now featuring Harmon pellet stoves from Forge and Flame, perfect for keeping your family warm and cozy. Call Koval today at 724-437-8824 or visit kovalsupply.com to start planning for the winter season. Koval Building Supply, everything you need to make your house feel like home.
Look and you'll see there's a whole new Ford for you.
Happy New Year from Thurby's Riverside Ford. New year, new deals, and new vehicles. Just announced, new 2025 Ford Bronco and Bronco Sport come with $1,000 Ford bonus cash plus 2.9% Ford credit financing.
And the best-selling truck on the planet, the new 2025 Ford F-150 4x4 comes with $2,250 Ford bonus cash plus 2.9% financing. It may be cold outside, but the deals are hot. Are you thinking about a new 2025 Ford Maverick all-wheel drive pickup? Just announced, $1,000 Ford factory incentive on all Mavericks. We have the inventory and we've got the best deals.
Stop in and see Joey, Sammy, Jimmy, or Ashley at Thurby's Riverside Ford, located 1 mile past the casino at Nemacolin. Ford credit financing required. Offer ends January 31st, 2026. Thurby's Riverside Ford, your presidential award and one Ford Elite dealer.
Do you wake up every morning with an aching back? Is it time to replace your mattress? Purchasing a new mattress can be expensive, but more than that, it can be confusing. There are just so many choices. At Chesler's Fine Furniture, sales associates can help you find the perfect mattress set at an unbelievable value. One of the truly great things about brick and mortar stores is that, at the very least, you know where they are and where they are likely to be for a while. At Chesler's, you can test the firmness and quality of every set on display. Shop now and find everyday low prices. Credit terms are available with 90 days same as cash with a minimum purchase. Chesler's Fine Furniture, Route 51 in Uniontown, the store you know and trust, where customers send their friends.
Get ready to make your new year a winner with Live Casino's $100,000 cash blowout drawing. Earn entries daily starting January 1st and join our action-packed drawings on January 30th and 31st. You could start your year off with a share of $100,000 in cash and free play prizes. How's that for a happy new year? Come rake it in at Live Casino, Route 30 at Westmoreland Mall. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Did you know that you have a choice for your physical therapy provider? NovaCare Rehabilitation offers same-day appointments, and oftentimes you don't need a prescription from your doctor to see us. We will make sure that you are treated as an individual and will work directly one-on-one with you to help achieve your goals. You have tried the rest, now try the best. NovaCare, Delaware Avenue in Uniontown. Phone 724-437-0556 to schedule your appointment today.
Main Street Theater Company proudly presents Grease on stage at the State Theater January 30th and 31st at 7 p.m. and February 1st at 2. Follow the journey of Danny and Sandy, the Pink Ladies, and the Burger Palace Boys in one of the world's most popular and enduring musicals, with an unforgettable soundtrack featuring hit songs like Greased Lightning, Hopelessly Devoted to You, You're the One That I Want, and more. For tickets, call 724-439-1360 or online at statetheater.info.
It's the afternoon drive show on a cold Tuesday. I'm Doug Saltzman. Next to Mick Barczyk. Thanks for joining us today on Today and Tomorrow, as usual, Tuesdays and Wednesdays. We do the afternoon drive show. Be sure that you can check us out. Although I'm doing the show remotely today, you can watch us normally on Facebook Live. And speaking of Facebook, we'll have high school basketball tonight. Uniontown and Latrobe will be on the radio and also on YouTube, but then Laurel Highlands and Gateway will be on Facebook only. That coming up tonight, the pregame show the Sprouse Insurance Group pregame show is at 6:40. Thanks for joining us today. As you might guess, people are talking about the weather, so we thought we'd start our first interview coming up here in just a moment with the National Weather Service, talk about the current cold snap, although we're looking at much milder temperatures tomorrow compared to the temperatures out there today. High somewhere between 35 and 40 tomorrow, probably closer to 40 in Uniontown. But cold one tonight, going down to 10 degrees, but then getting up to close to 40 tomorrow. And big-time forecast for snow this Sunday. Now, that's several days away, naturally. We'll talk about that coming up as well. Greenland has been all over the news, as no doubt you've heard. So we're going to check in with military and national security analyst Major Mike Lyons about that coming up. And then in the third half of the show, we're going to talk about, you heard about these subpoenas from the Justice Department. They've subpoenaed Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and other officials in Minnesota and the city of Minneapolis and St. Paul, the Twin City. We'll talk, who better to talk to than Professor Bruce Ankoriak, a law professor at St. Vincent's College. All that coming up on the Afternoon Drive show today. Again, I'm Doug Saltzman. That's Nick Barczyk. Tomorrow, obviously, the issue of the Steelers' new head coach is in the news. Mike McCarthy, a Greenfield native, right out of the neighborhood of Greenfield in the city of Pittsburgh, is now under consideration. Seems like a classic Rooney-type choice to get a hometown guy to coach the team. Nick and I mentioned his name last week as we were talking about that. It's not too often the Steelers replace a coach, and it's been a heck of a long time since they fired a coach. Of course, Mike Tomlin was not fired, but the last time they fired a coach was in 1968. Rocky Bleier was a member of the team. He's going to join us tomorrow at 6:15 to talk about the Steelers' search for a coach and how rare that is. And just the stability of a team having a coach. Art Rooney II will be starting those in-person interviews. I've known Art Rooney II for decades. Have been in business meetings with him. Have attended parties at his in-laws' house that he was at. One of the more decent guys you'll ever meet. Obviously, very well respected within the league, as has been the whole Rooney family over the years. Just a class guy. Anything but superlatives about him would really would be shocking, frankly. I just think he's a great guy and serves the city well. You have a team that has sold out every home game since, 1974. Only the Green Bay Packers have a longer streak of sellout games. And this is not a huge market. When you think about the Steeler games, so many of them are at night or on holidays. That's because they draw nationally. Joining us right now, WVU Medicine Uniontown Hospital Talk Line from the National Weather Service, meteorologist Colton McCarrick. Colton, thank you very much for joining us. I don't think I have to be a meteorologist to say it's pretty cold out there. It's well below norms for this time of year, isn't it?
Yes, certainly. It is quite cold and quite chilly for this time of year. For some perspective, at least, normally in January, our average high is somewhere around 39, and our average low is around 22. So we're close to 20 degrees below where we should normally be this time of year today.
Yeah. And our high today is lower than the normal low. That's always a little confusing when you hear someone say that.
Right.
But, I think we hit a high today, at least in Uniontown, of about 21 degrees, and that's below the normal low. So,
in other words, very cold.
A jump tomorrow, practically a heat wave, almost 40 degrees in parts of southwestern Pennsylvania, including Fayette County. What's causing this cold streak? What are we looking at here? Is it something coming out of Canada? Is it just weather systems coming through? Explain it to us why we're suddenly hitting this cold spell.
Yeah, sure. We look at a lot of things for kind of the weather patterns that we get stuck in. And this particular pattern we're in is just giving us lots of air coming out of central Canada and close to the Arctic, shoveling it down into the Pittsburgh area really right now, and it looks like maybe continuing through the end of the month.
So this is not just a one-day only thing. I mean, the high is getting to 39 tomorrow, but that's a normal high. But when you look at the longer range, and you'll give us that forecast at the end of our discussion here, we're looking at weather well below normal highs, not in quite the single digits, but close to it towards the end of this week, correct?
Yes, that is correct. While we're going to have that brief reprieve tomorrow, looks like at least by the time we get into Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, highs really only getting into maybe the upper teens to low 20s for the most part. And our coldest day, Saturday, we may even see highs kind of close to that 10 to 15 degree mark.
Yeah, that's bitter cold. All those warnings, don't leave the animals outside, that sort of thing, and don't be outside. I saw a guy earlier today wearing flip-flops, shorts, and a T-shirt. And, I feel like an old man. I almost said, hey, your mother called, buddy. Put a coat on and maybe some shoes. I'm always shocked when you see something like that. But you're talking a possibility of frostbite on exposed skin if you do something like that. Don't quite understand that. Also, in addition to being much colder than normal for this time of year, we're above normal snow totals for this time of year already, too, correct?
That is correct, yeah. So looks like so far this year, we've seen around 24.4 inches here in Pittsburgh, which is your closest observation site. Compare that to normal, which is around 20.8. We're roughly 4 inches above normal, and we're above kind of where we were last year as well.
So we've already had 2 feet of snow this year here in Southwest. And, of course, it's the National Weather Service in Moon Township near the Pittsburgh International Airport where the official total is taken. You get up on the ridges in Fayette County, heavens, there might be 2 feet laying there right now. Not quite, but
yeah, certainly.
Yeah, and that's why I guess forecasting for an area like Fayette County can be difficult because you're talking extreme differences, literally within a couple of miles. Correct?
Right. It's basically a tale of 2 counties when you're talking about the countywide average. You have the areas down in the lowlands like Uniontown, and then once you get up into the ridges, into some of the ski territory, you're talking almost, 3 or 4 times as much snow up there than they see down in lower elevations.
Yeah. And, folks, I called a friend. I was heading up over the summit one time up near the Summit Inn, and I told a friend who lives up there, I said, oh, be careful. It's really foggy and snowy at the same time. She said, oh, we're used to that. That's not a big deal. So, yeah, you live up there, you know what you're in for, and you're used to it.
Right.
And of course, in this area here, you head a little north up to Edinburgh and Erie. My daughter just recently decided to go see a friend in Rochester. I said, well, you picked probably the worst time of year to drive on Interstate 90, Erie to Buffalo up to Rochester. She said, Dad, it was incredible trying to drive. I'm like, yeah, you picked the worst interstate in the Northeast probably to drive on this time of year. But she got there and got home safe and sound. But yeah, I went to college in Erie, so yeah, a foot of snow up there wasn't barely given a thought after a while.
Right,
that was nothing to have that type of weather. Now, if you look at a long range forecast, and we're getting out to Sunday, right now there's some forecasts showing maybe as many as 8-9 inches of snow. Although that's awfully early to make that forecast, but that's something I'm guessing you guys are looking at the National Weather Service, correct?
Right, and because we're sort of so far out, we're talking about really mainly a Sunday disturbance. We still have a lot of time to shore in that forecast. One thing we don't like to do here at the Weather Service quite yet is talk exact numbers, but more so talk some scenarios. So there is certainly a scenario where we get, that 6 to 12 inch range, but I will say at this time it's only around 30% likely. The remaining 70% is all stuff that would be kind of that sub 6 inch snowfall forecast here. So again, it is something that we're closely keeping an eye on. And as we get more idea of the exact storm track through time, we'll be able to better forecast exactly what to expect in Fayette County.
Yeah, that's why I like the National Weather Service forecast. It's just straight to the point, no fluff. And I used to do plowing for a company I worked for, and I used to only listen to the National Weather Service forecast because I didn't get the height, the extremes, all that sort of thing. It literally was, okay, this is what the prediction is, and that's it. Believe it or not, I still have one of those cubes. Remember those old Radio Shack cubes? You might be too young to remember those. You'd push a little lever on it, and it just gave Gave you the forecast. It still works. That thing's probably 50 years old, I think. I think my parents got it for me when I was in junior high or something.
Yeah.
When I wanted to be a meteorologist until, my parents said, you can't do math, honey. Go into something else. So I got an English major instead. But yeah, so that's how that changed. So again, you're looking at some sort of a disturbance as opposed to a weather event. A disturbance comes Sunday, but right now you say it's about a third of a chance, 30% chance of getting that much snow. But obviously you'll know more as the week drags on, and we'll see what happens. Somebody said today, it's too cold to snow. Can it be too cold to snow? I've always wondered if that was an accurate statement.
There is a little bit of truth to that, but ultimately it is not true. So colder air tends to have less moisture in it, and I say tends to because that's not always. If you get cold and dry enough, it'll be hard to snow. Believe it or not, Antarctica doesn't get that much snow just because of how cold and dry it is. But really, where we are in Pittsburgh, we very rarely have it cold enough and no moisture in the air for it not to snow if we get a system to come perk it up.
I used to work with a guy who was formerly a ranger with the National Park Service, and one of his stations he was at for a few years was north of the Arctic Circle. And he said, it was pretty cold up there, and it snowed a lot. So he didn't buy that argument.
Yeah.
But again, it's not the North Pole, but
right.
I guess it's more ice than snow up there. Well, we appreciate, Colton, you're taking time to join us, and as we do with you and your colleagues, as we wrap up our conversation with you, we always ask you to give us a forecast. Not to insult Nick, our producer, who gives forecasts, but we'll let you give us a forecast for Fayette County for the next few days, if you could.
Yeah, of course. So, like we kind of alluded to, it's going to be a little bit warmer tomorrow. Probably the warmest day you see clear through the end of the month, with highs getting up into hopefully the upper 30s tomorrow. And then things really start to taper off as you get into the rest of the week. High of the mid-30s expected on Thursday before we really drop into Friday, where we have highs close to 20 degrees. Saturday forecast is the coldest day in the period right now, with highs close to 12 in the area and lows that might be into the negatives potentially. So definitely take some precautions, avoid extended periods outside, protect your pipes, and make sure you keep your pets indoors. Into the rest of the period, there's favoring kind of that below average temperatures through the end of January, and along with some excitement, so above average chances of snow compared to normal.
Right. Colt McCarrick, meteorologist with the National Weather Service out in Moon Township at the Pittsburgh International Airport. Colt, thank you very much. We appreciate your service and appreciate your joining us today. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, no problem. Take care.
All right. So we'll see what happens later this week, Nick, whether we get half a foot of snow or more. We'll know later in the week. Right now, we're going to head to CBS for the news brief coming up here in just a moment. I'm Doug Saltzman. That's Nick Barczyk. It's now 18 degrees.
CBS News Brief. Marking 1 year since being sworn in, and a second time President Trump talks about his administration's accomplishments. He also repeats that the U.S. needs control of Greenland for national security in the face of pushback from European allies and NATO members over threatened tariffs.
The big fear I have with NATO is we spend tremendous amounts of money with NATO, and I know we'll come to their rescue, but I just really do question whether or not they'll come to ours.
Three sources familiar with the matter tell CBS News that the Justice Department has served subpoenas to multiple Democratic Minnesota officials, including Governor Tim Walz, in its probe alleging immigration obstruction. CBS's Nicole Skanga.
We know that this probe is widening and deepening tensions between the federal government and the Department of Justice.
Dismissed after 18 seasons as Baltimore's coach, John Harbaugh now takes over as coach of the New York Giants.
One of the most iconic franchises in all of sports. I wanted this job.
CBS News Brief, I'm Jennifer Kuiper.
Ready to score big on your next home? Well, great news. Huge savings are waiting for you at Clayton Homes of Bell Vernon. From open floor plans perfect for game day parties to energy-efficient homes that will help you save money all season long, these homes are built to deliver. Don't wait on the sidelines. Make the winning play today and find the home that fits your family and lifestyle. Visit Clayton Homes of Bell Vernon at 4500 Route 51.
Experiencing symptoms of COPD? Frontier Clinical Research in Scottsdale has been selected to conduct a clinical research study, and participants are needed. All study-related care will be provided at no cost, and no health insurance is required. Compensation up to $2,200 for qualified participants for time and travel. To learn more, call Frontier Clinical Research in Scottsdale at 724-220-5281. That's Frontier Clinical Research in Scottsdale at 724-220-5281.
Happy New Year! Go to Ford of Uniontown and trade me in!
John Clinton with Dominic Carbone from your 7-time President Award-winning Ford of Uniontown. Dominic, Happy New Year to you.
Hey, JC, to you as well. Let me tell you how we are going to get this new year started off right. Take up to $6,000 off MSRP on 2025 F-150 STX and take up to $4,000 off MSRP on 2026 Explorer.
Dang, Dom, that's a deal. Listen, we have great offers on all of our new models. And check this out, leasing is back. Lease offers have gotten significantly better, so stop, click, or call to get all the details.
Pre-owned, you know we got them. We have over 60 in stock. Most are certified with factory warranty and competitive rates.
We are continuing to offer mobile service, online maintenance appointments, and our very popular pickup and delivery option. Your car knows, shouldn't you? That's Ford of Uniontown on the hill across from Applebee's, or check us out at FordofUniontown.com. Offers include all applicable incentives. Sale ends February 2nd.
If you are looking for a trusted local law firm with a strong commitment to their clients, look no further than Zebley Law Offices. Attorney Zebley has been practicing law in Fayette County for more than 4 decades. Although specializing in bankruptcy, Zebley also handles real estate matters, civil suits, collections, wills, powers of attorney, and more. If you need legal help, go with a name you recognize and trust. Call Zebley Law Offices today at 724-439-9200.
CareerLink is your one-stop resource for employment and training-related services. Visit CareerLink and you'll have access to many programs and agencies for assistance with economic, educational, and job-related needs. For more information on all the programs available to you, contact CareerLink at 724-434-JOBS. That's 724-434-JOBS.
Mountaintop Title and Notary can handle all of your motor vehicle and PennDOT needs, such as titles, plates, renewal, registrations, and all notary needs. Tina Nicholson of Mountaintop Title and Notary can also handle ATV and boat titles and also does income taxes. Hours are Monday through Friday, 9:30 to 4:30, and appointments can be made for after hours and Saturdays. Mountaintop Title and Notary with a new location at 655 Nelson Road in Farmington, the only place you need to go for all title, notary, and tax work. Call Tina at 724-984-1514 for the most professional services around.
Your local station, WMBS.
Welcome back to the Afternoon Drive Show on your local station, WMBS Uniontown. I'm Doug Saltzman, and that's Nick Barczyk at the controls. I'm doing the show remotely today. If you're watching on Facebook, where's Doug? I'll be in studio tomorrow. Rocky Blyer is going to join us tomorrow at about 6:15 to talk about Steelers looking for a new coach. Nick, you and I talked last week. Mike McCarthy seems to be one of those typical Steeler-type picks. He's a hometown boy, grew up in the Greenfield neighborhood of the city. Of course, the Steelers went up against him in the Super Bowl several years ago. But that seems like a pretty natural choice for the Rooneys, don't you think?
Well, certainly the fact that he's local, the Steelers like that angle and the Pittsburgh angle, but frankly, the last 3 coaches they've hired, which have been the last 3 since the 60s, Cowher and Tomlin, they were all young defensive coaches, and Mike McCarthy's an older offensive coach. So besides for that, I mean, the Pittsburgh angle would fit them, but not the other aspect of it. I still think if I had to bet, they'll go with the younger defensive mind, Chris Shula, who is the defensive coordinator for the Rams. I think is the clubhouse favorite still. The Rams defense looked really good the other night. They're still around. They could win the Super Bowl, so they can't hire him for a few more weeks maybe. But Anthony Weaver, they're interviewing a defensive coach. Brian Flores, who used to be on their staff, a defensive mind. So maybe they're just interviewing McCarthy to get some different thoughts in there, maybe the thoughts of an older coach who's been around. But the Steelers typically don't like to hire guys who've already been head coaches and who are on the offensive side of the ball. But then again, if they hire Mike McCarthy, it wouldn't shock me. So there you go.
Yeah, it's you're right. I think it's down to those two probably. I guess that they've done. It's interesting that they can actually interview somebody who is still in the playoffs Chris Shula.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens next week.
But the worst news today, Doug, is that our favorite gum-chewing assistant coach is leaving for Tampa, Danny Smith.
Yeah, that's a classic. I had read online that he was one of the top candidates to be head coach. Somebody was writing that.
That's ridiculous.
I'm like, no, I don't think you go from...
I think that was his wife who wrote that, yeah.
Yeah. And, of course, the negative comments that have been on over the air at times and online about Art Rooney II, as I said earlier, I don't know a more decent guy. I've known him, and I've been in meetings with him professionally. As I mentioned earlier, I've been at meetings at his in-laws' house, pool parties, casual conversations for decades, and he's just a decent guy, probably one of the more respected owners in the league.
Yes.
Just does his job. Isn't one of those guys that's down on the sidelines, at the end of a game.
We're talking about you, Jerry Jones. Yeah.
Yeah, or anybody. He just does his job, and isn't there for the excitement of the exposure. It's just like his grandfather, just like his dad. It's a different approach, and anything even marginally negative about Art Rooney II, I don't understand. And you have a team, and this is a small market, and he's complained about playing on Christmas Day and other holidays, but the NFL likes the Steelers with those marquee games because they know the viewership nationally is terrific for a team from even a small market like Pittsburgh. And there's a reason for that because how the Rooneys have run that team for so many years. Rocky Bleier is going to join us tomorrow to talk about that. He was with the team the last time they actually fired a coach, which was in 1968. And then, of course, he was drafted by the Steelers, but then drafted again, but that was drafted into the military during the Vietnam War, then came back and won 4 Super Bowls. So who better to talk to than Rocky tomorrow at 6:15 about the Steelers' way of hiring and keeping coaches for many, many years. We'll check in with him tomorrow. In the third half of the show tonight, we're going to be checking in with Professor Bruce Ankowiak, the latest on the Justice Department subpoena and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and other Minnesota officials. But before that, joining me, the WVU Medicine Uniontown Hospital Talk Line, National Security and Military Analyst Major Mike Lyons. Major Lyons, thank you very much for joining us, sir. We appreciate it. Let's talk about Greenland, which is all over the news. Today is the first anniversary of the second Trump term, and there's his bid to acquire Greenland, whether it's through tariffs or through other issues. But Greenland right now, it's not as if America doesn't have a base on Greenland. We have military operations on that island right now, correct?
Correct, we do. And first of all, the president is right strategically, and his instinct is correct that Greenland, though, in the future, is going to be an important piece of terrain, especially for the United States. It's in our hemisphere. You could lay claim that we could have a Monroe Doctrine claim to it, and in fact, that's what was argued in the past by it. There's previous presidents that all wanted to try to figure out a way to acquire Greenland. We occupied it during the Second World War. Because Denmark was occupied by the Germans, and we didn't want the Germans in there. So this is Trump just looking over the horizon. So I think his instinct is right about us having greater control and greater, overall ability to determine what's going on inside of Greenland. And we have a treaty with them. We have a listening post that's there, but the president is looking to create something called Golden Dome that's going to make it a much bigger U.S. enterprise on Greenland.
Yeah, I love history. I consider myself a student of history and read more books than I can imagine and watched so many documentaries. Greenland was strategically critical, as you just mentioned a moment ago, during World War II. It was very clear that Uniontown's own general told President Roosevelt, like, if Germany takes over the UK and then Greenland's next and the U.S. isn't far. So even in World War II, it was such an absolute critical post as part of the U.S. defense of Germany coming west and hitting the mainland in North America, correct?
Right. And if you look at it now, it looks like what could be an aircraft carrier in the northern part of this hemisphere, sitting almost about 3/4 inside the Arctic Circle itself. and it oversees two major, what I'll call submarine highways that exist to its due east, and that's the strait between itself and Iceland, as well as the strait between Iceland and the UK. It's the high-speed avenue of approach for Russian subs that if they decided to come and attack the United States, they'd come down either one of those two places, and which is why we need to have military assets, watching that back door as well. It's clearly an Arctic flank. It's clearly, the side door, back door to get into the United States. If God forbid our enemies decided to launch intercontinental ballistic missiles, they wouldn't be flying, past Europe and past Paris to the Atlantic Ocean. They'd be coming over the top of the world from China and from Russia in that regard. So we need to have an early warning system set up there, and we're going to do a lot more things than in Greenland that previous administrations wanted to do.
Yeah. In your analysis, for that Golden Dome, and I'm going to ask you what that is too. We heard about, of course, the dome for Israel, but for that Golden Dome to occur or to take place and be based in Greenland, does the United States have to acquire Greenland as a territory, or could that be done without us actually owning the island? Again, I think we're talking about, or President Trump's talking about that being sort of a territory like, I don't know, Guam or the Philippines, not an actual state, correct?
Right. He doesn't want to make it a state. It would, Puerto Rico, Virgin Islands could be a place like that. But he wants complete autonomy over it, take responsibility for its economy, for its defense. NATO has been asleep at the switch with Greenland for the past 50 years, let's say. And so Trump, in his disruptive way, has woken up the Europeans and the elites with regard to why it's important and why we have to be focused on it. Because Denmark was going to let Greenland become independent, give its own independence, and that's not what we would want to have happen on any level, because now they could come to deal with the Chinese or the Russians or anybody else, which I'm sure they would be first in line to try to do. So, he wants to have complete control, the same kind of control that Denmark has right now over it.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Greenland, despite its massive size, it has a population of about 50,000, 56,000 people. So it's not as if we're talking about an enormous 80% of the land is covered with ice. Ideally, it probably should be called Iceland, and the other in Iceland, Greenland. But yeah, we're talking a very relatively small population. There's many cities throughout Pennsylvania with populations of 50,000.
Right.
So it's strategic, but it's not as if it's a huge population there.
No, and the people live mostly on the coastline because it's uninhabitable inside the center. It's it's basically an ice landmass, with permafrost everywhere in most of the areas, which is why, from Trump's perspective, everyone has a number, and Trump is willing to pay every Greenlander $100,000 or some kind of amount of money in order to buy it, and in a lot of ways, a lot of his prior rhetoric, I think, was aimed towards the Greenland population to try to get that independence from Denmark. And then once you gain independence, then they'll turn around and then the United States will back you up. But the European elites are just looking at this as just from the perspective of it's just not the order of things. It's not what we should be doing. And so that's why they're mad about it right now. If Trump is going to go to Davos here and explain to the European elites that this is important to us, and they're going to try to smack back at him and say, well, you're not doing that because we're not going to let you do that. So we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, we were talking with retired Army Major Mike Lyons, a combat veteran. Tell us about the Golden Dome. You get a sense of it just from the name itself, but what exactly would a Golden Dome be, and what areas would that dome protect?
Right. Well, Trump is enamored with what Israel's anti-missile defense technology is, from David Sling to Iron Dome to the way it can defend itself against the Iranian threats from their cruise missiles and long-term fires, and feels that he would like to create some kind of system that does the same thing in our hemisphere. Now, it's very similar. If you remember back in the 80s, there was a Star Wars concept of back then it was satellites that would shoot down missiles as they launched. As if you're going to shoot a missile at the United States, it does have to enter some kind of orbit, and you have to have a space program, and obviously the Russians and the Chinese can do this. And back then, the idea was that the space satellites would shoot the missiles out of the sky there. That was the Star Wars effect there, and you saw a couple of James Bond movies that were to that effect. This is going to be different. These will be launch sites that will be in the northern part in Canada and places like Greenland that are designed to protect the northern flank of North America. It's still much in on the drawing board. Not a lot has been done so far with it because they're just not sure whether it's going to work or not.
Yeah, sometimes just the mention of it. You think back in the days of Gorbachev and Ronald Reagan, and my boss at the time was Specter, who said for $5 billion, which from a federal government standpoint is not a massive amount of money. He said a project like this, just the mention of it, has the Soviets shaking in their boots, which is what he said at the time, which was pretty much true. And they gave they gave away. The Soviets didn't want the United States to have that system, even though it to this day it doesn't exist. But sometimes just the talk of a system can keep your adversaries on their toes, I suppose. Or is that an exaggeration?
No, it's not. And in fact, that's part of the reason, one of the tipping points that caused the Soviet Union to fall is that it created an arms race that they could not keep up with. Now, my personal philosophy, though, is that missile defense systems are fundamentally destabilizing because if a country feels it has a missile defense system that can't be penetrated, then they would be free to fire at anybody without the risk of having it in return. The mutually assured destruction is that nuclear deterrence that makes sure that if somebody fires a nuclear weapon, that somebody can return that fire. But in this case, if either the Russians, the Chinese, or us develop that, well, then that deterrence is out the window. So I don't know. I don't. It's a long way from being functional. We don't have the same problem Israel has when it comes to rockets and things coming from the Middle East. Their main threat was Iran and some of their missiles, but the hypersonic missiles, I'm not sure how the technology is going to stop them. I'm not sure, how this will go down once it finally happens.
Yeah, and last question for you. You're giving us extra time, Major. We appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries.
There's called an Iron Dome. Does it make you feel safer than you should be? I mean, the example of how their defense completely failed on the attack of Hamas. Literally, as you mentioned to us, soldiers were attacked and killed in their bunks. Does sometimes a dome like that make a country feel safer than it actually should feel?
Yeah, probably. It gives you a false sense of security. We know that the current Iron Dome system doesn't always work. It's all based on AI. I mean, there's very little human element within the decision-making process. The fire direction centers are all automated in that a decision is made electronically whether or not a missile will hit built a barrier or a city or not, and then it proceeds to track it down. You could have things where it still determines that it's going to hit a city and it still might not hit the missile. It's pretty hard for a bullet to hit another bullet. It's really what it comes down to. And so there's challenging technology in order to make sure it works. So sure, it's definitely a false sense of security on some level, and for us to believe that it would not, any of these systems can also be overwhelmed at any time. You saw the Iranians even overwhelm the Israeli systems, firing 200 and 300 missiles at once. And there's no defense system that can stop all of those rockets.
Military and national security analyst, Army combat vet, fellow at the Modern War Institute at West Point, Major Mike Lyons. Thanks so much. We appreciate, as always, you taking time to talk to us. You bring these issues down to understandable points, and we do appreciate your analysis. Thanks so much.
Great. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Major Mike Lyons joining us again, as he does regularly on the WVU Medicine Uniontown Hospital Talk Line. When we come back, we'll wrap up the first hour, but stick around for that. Right now, we're looking at 17 degrees outside our Davis & Davis Attorneys at Law studios. We're with you till 6:40 tonight when we go to high school basketball. But first, this is the Afternoon Drive Show on WMBS.
When you need notary services, trust the best. Sandy Howell Notary Services, back-to-back gold medal winner for Best Notary in Fayette County. They're here for you with extended hours to fit your schedule. Sandy Howell's also the 2025 gold medal winner for Best Title Company. Open Monday through Friday, 10 to 8:30, and Saturdays, 9 to 5. Call 724-564-8955 today for Sandy Howell Notary Services, where excellence is signed and sealed.
Hi, I'm Jason Brady, the owner of Brady's Rad Cafe, the new restaurant in Uniontown Mall near JCPenney's. Join us for our selection of unique burgers and hot dogs, steak and meatball hoagies, and more. Always fresh and made right here by friendly people in a welcoming throwback atmosphere at Brady's Rad Cafe. No frozen fast food, always fresh and fun at Brady's Rad Cafe in the Uniontown Mall near JCPenney's.
Laurel Highlands Wealth Advisory Group of Janie Montgomery Scott in Uniontown is a proud sponsor of Sportsline. When you work with Janie, it's about going beyond investing. It's about connecting your life and your finances in a way that makes sense for you. The team partners with you through each stage of life to help you set and reach your financial goals. To learn more about the Laurel Highlands Wealth Advisory Group at Janie, be sure to check out their website at www.lhwag.com. Laurel Highlands Wealth Advisory Group of Janie Montgomery Scott, LLC, member FINRA, NYSE, SIPC.
Celebrate the season at Rich Farms Lightscapes with 2 magical ways to enjoy festive family fun this Christmas. Sundays through Thursdays, cruise through dazzling light displays from the comfort of your car, just $20 per carload. Then, Fridays and Saturdays, enjoy holiday nights at the farm. For $19 a person, walk through the lights, visit Santa, decorate and take home your own live Christmas tree, and so much more. Rich Farms opens nightly at 5 p.m. For details, visit Lightscapes at Rich Farms on Facebook.
When you are looking to make some extra cash for your aluminum cans, visit Cherokee Recycling, where aluminum can is king. Cherokee Recycling is open Monday through Friday 9 to 4:30 and Saturdays 8 to 12 noon, closed Sundays and holidays. Give Marcus or Braggs a call today, 724-439-3228 for Cherokee Recycling, where recycling makes the most sense.
Are you looking to list or sell your house? Now is the time to let the professionals at Caldwell Banker Laurel Ridge Realty help you with all of your real estate needs. Caldwell Banker Laurel Ridge Realty has 2 convenient locations to better serve you. In Uniontown area, 724-437-7100, or in Connellsville area, 724-628-7200, and speak with one of our real estate professionals. Visit our website, caldwellbanker.com. We have been proudly serving Western Pennsylvania area for over 30 years and look forward to helping you with all of your real estate needs. Broker Paul Borges.
Funeral services from pre-need to at-need, burial or cremation, call Gates Funeral Home and Crematory, located at 136 North Gallatin Avenue in a beautifully restored historic home. Family owned and operated by Rick Gates, former Brownsville resident and Guyville alumni, the Gates Funeral Home and Crematory offers warmth, convenience, affordability, and ample parking. With a knowledgeable funeral director and compassionate staff, the Gates family and the Gates Funeral Home and Crematory are ready to assist you.
Welcome back to the Afternoon Drive Show on your local station, WMBS Uniontown. I'm Doug Saltzman. That's Nick Barczyk. Coming up on 5:56. Cold night out there, 17 degrees right now outside our Davis and Davis Attorneys at Law studios. I want to thank Colton McCarrick from the National Weather Service for joining us at the top of the show. And then, of course, just a moment ago, Major Mike Lyons giving us the latest on Greenland and President Trump's interest in taking over that island. When you talk about the population, Nick, Fayette County literally has much more than twice the population of the entire country of Greenland.
Wow.
Which until this came up, I guess I didn't realize it was controlled by Denmark. I'm not quite sure what they call it. It's not a colony. It's a territory. I don't know how it compares to, say, the United States and Puerto Rico, or the United States and Guam, or the U.S. Virgin Islands, that sort of thing. But yeah, you're talking about a population of about 56,000 people. The capital of Greenland has 20,000 people. And there's a lot of municipalities around southwestern PA whose population equals about that. So it's not a big population-wise, but a strategically important. And George Marshall, by the way, I got an email during that interview with Major Mike Lyons when I referred to the general, Union Time Zone general, and I didn't mention his name apparently, and I got an email at radiosaltzman@gmail.com saying you should mention George Marshall's name whenever you can, so I apologize for that. Yeah, it was General George Marshall during World War II who explained to President Franklin Roosevelt that if Germany takes over England, that was the only defense. They'd go after Greenland, and then they'd not be far from North America, Canada, down to the U.S. as well. So, yeah, General George Marshall, who many people, historians and analysts have said literally won the war, but never got the attention that others did, like a Patton or Douglas MacArthur, simply because he didn't seek publicity. And I don't think he cared one way or the other. He just did his job, and I think he would have headed up the U.S. forces in the European theater of operations, except Roosevelt wanted him nearby to give him advice and counsel throughout that war. Otherwise, I think he would have had that position as Supreme Commander instead of Dwight Eisenhower. So there's a little Doug analysis there.
There you go. And Doug, you've been giving us analysis for many years. In fact, this day is, before we run out of time this hour, January 20th. That date's significant for you and your career, is it not? Tell us.
It is. Yeah, today is the 12th anniversary of my being on WMBS. So that's very nice of you to bring up, Nick.
12 years.
I appreciate that. 12 years I've been doing this. I didn't start with the afternoon drive show, but I started early doing the What's on Your Mind and doing some others, and then it came to this show. And I keep track of all the interviews, and I'm just shy of conducting my 3,000th interview.
My gosh. Well, another 5,000, you'll be right there with Larry King.
Yeah,
I'm not talking
right.
about wives.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about wives here. Yeah.
Yeah, I've only had one wife. He had 7, if I had that number right. But, yeah, the great Larry King. Geez, it's nice to be mentioned even in the same sentence with Larry King, who I always thought was a great interviewer. I thought it was ridiculous he would get criticized for not, asking the hard questions. Well, not everything is 60 Minutes or Meet the Press. So it's, I enjoy what I'm doing. It's not an easy job. People say, how do you get all these guests? I'm like, well, it's not easy. Sometimes it takes 2 or 3 times longer to get the guest than the interview takes, than prep for the interview and the interview itself. In fact, many more times longer than just that. CBS News at 6 o'clock coming up here in your local station, WMBS Union Time. Cold out there, 17 degrees outside our Davis & Davis Attorneys at Law Studios. News is next. Stick around.
This is CBS News on the Hour, your home for original reporting.
I'm Jennifer Kuiper. The Justice Department is moving full steam ahead in its probe of Minnesota officials and their comments on immigration crackdowns there. Sources tell CBS News that Governor Tim Walz, Attorney General Keith Ellison, and Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey are among several Democrats who have been served subpoenas. CBS's Nicole Scango reports.
The subpoenas are a significant sort of escalation in this ongoing battle we've seen between the Justice Department and Minnesota officials who have really clashed amid the crackdown on illegal immigration in the state.
Governor Tim Walz calls the DOJ investigation a partisan distraction. Outrage in St. Paul, Minnesota, after ICE agents walked a shirtless grandfather out of his home in below-zero wind chills.
That's people reacting to Chongley Scott Tao, escorted out of his home wearing only boxer shorts and his grandson's blanket by federal agents.
They just took me out there with no clothes on.
Tao was released after being questioned in an SUV for an hour, and he says,
I don't feel like it's freedom.
But he says he feels better now, and neighbors brought food to his family. Allison Keyes, CBS News.
Just hours before he's to head to Switzerland for the World Economic Forum, President Trump stopped by the White House press room to talk about his administration's accomplishments in the first year since the start of his second term. He touted immigration enforcement and lower prices. When asked what he was going to speak about in Davos, Switzerland,
we have the most successful country in the world. We have the hottest country anywhere in the world by far. And this country would have been absolutely stone cold dead. And I'm going to be talking about it. I'm going to be, because, a lot of them could use some of the advice as to what we did.
U.S. Southern Command says U.S. forces have seized a seventh oil tanker in the Caribbean near Venezuela. CBS's Eleanor Watson reports.
This tanker, the Saguito, was sanctioned by the U.S. Treasury Department last year for being part of Russia's so-called shadow fleet, used to circumvent Western sanctions. The Department of Homeland Security led the seizure with support from the Marines and Navy, which has about a dozen U.S. ships in the Caribbean, in part to enforce this just over a month-old quarantine.
Rescuers say one person is dead and 4 have been seriously injured in a commuter train accident near Barcelona. It comes just days after a collision of 2 trains in southern Spain that has left at least 42 people dead. In an Albuquerque courtroom, actor and director Timothy Busfield appears for a detention hearing on child sex abuse charges.
All right, let's go on the record in state of New Mexico versus Timothy Busfield, D202 PD 2026.
Busfield's wife, actor Melissa Gilbert, is among the witnesses. Busfield is accused of sexually assaulting a child on the set of a TV show, The Cleaning Lady. This is CBS News.
Follow and listen to CBS Mornings on the go on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Well, much cooler temperatures are here, but you could still enjoy your deck or patio with retractable or fixed awnings from Lifetime Awnings. Made in the USA with manufacturer and customer guarantees, Lifetime Awnings products last. Lifetime Awnings is veteran-owned and operated with a 10% discount to all military veterans and their families. Call Lifetime Awnings 724-554-6067 for a no-cost or obligation home consultation. Or email John, the owner, at lifetimeawningsusa@gmail.com.
Ready to update your home? Find what you need at Zen's Construction Warehouse. Their friendly, knowledgeable staff will be happy to help you the old-fashioned way. Zen's is open Monday through Friday, 9 to 5:30, Saturday and Sunday, 10 to 2. 485 Walnut Hill Road in Continental. Zen's Construction Warehouse, 724-366-8274. Or visit Zen's Construction Warehouse's Facebook page.
Zen's Construction Warehouse. Our surplus. Your savings.
Cows might be able to do more than you think. CBS's Deborah Rodriguez explains.
Meet Veronica, a pet cow from Austria who's credited with an amazing feat. Video shows her basking in the beauty of a green field in the snow-capped Alps using a wooden broom secured in the curl of her tongue to scratch her back and undersides. Scientists say it's the first verified instance of a cow using a tool and suggests we humans have underestimated the potential cognitive ability of cattle all along. A biologist at the University of Veterinary Medicine in Vienna points out we haven't really been interested in their behavior or their intelligence, only their ability to provide meat and milk. Deborah Rodriguez, CBS News.
The findings are published in the journal Current Biology. Netflix shares fell more than 3% today as the streaming entertainment giant said it expected revenue to be essentially flat in the current quarter after years of growth. Jennifer Kuiper, CBS News.
The award-winning local, district, and statewide news is brought to you by Clayton Homes of Bell Vernon. Is it time to find a home that fits your lifestyle? Visit Clayton Homes of Bell Vernon. You'll find special savings along with beautiful, energy-efficient homes packed with features you've been dreaming about at Clayton Homes of Bell Vernon, 4500 PA 51. And now the news.
Good evening on a very cold Tuesday. It's 6:05 and 18 outside of our Davis & Davis studios. Davis & Davis, attorneys at law, voted Fayette County's best law firm 2025. Your local station, WMBS. Good evening. I'm Nick Barczyk. The Weather Watch and Sports on the way. State Senator Pat Stefano of Fayette County announced today that Fayette roadway and sewer projects are going to benefit from more than $2.5 million in state grants. The funding was administered by the Commonwealth Financing Authority, and among the projects funded through the Multimodal Transportation Fund in Fayette County or Connellsville Township, they were awarded over $82,000 for the West Blake Avenue Drainage and Resurfacing Project. Also in Luzerne Township, Heartland Fabrication LLC was awarded over $1.3 million to improve 3 berthing areas of the Heartland Fabrication Facility in Luzerne. Smithfield Borough is receiving $300,000 to replace sidewalks on Morgantown and Liberty Streets. Also, Bell Vernon Borough, South Connellsville Municipal Authority, Franklin Township, and the Manhattan Township Sewer Authority are receiving funding as well. The CFA, by the way, which gave out the funds, that was established in 2004 as an independent agency to administer Pennsylvania's economic stimulus packages. And the programs, along with the CFA and Small Water and Sewer Program, are overseen by the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development. Rolling closures on Interstate 70 are expected this week as crews will be placing beams for the new Crawford Lane Bridge in Rostraver. The closures will take effect from 7 in the evening Thursday, 7 p.m. Thursday through 6 a.m. Friday. In both directions, weather permitting, they will last no more than 15 minutes each to allow the crews to lift and set the beams onto the abutments. The bridge carries a Crawford Lane over Interstate 70 and connects to Finley Road west of the Route 51 interchange. There also will be lane restrictions on the existing bridge I-70 and Finley Road. The Pennsylvania GOP nullified a 21-3 no confidence vote that the Washington County Grand Old Party passed last week against State Senator Camera Bartolotta, who is running for a fourth term. The county committee criticized her for actions including perceived undermining of President Trump during his re-election campaign in support for election reforms, but State Party Chairman Greg Rothman called that vote null and void. Bartolotta dismissed the county GOP's actions as a small, out-of-touch group and a distraction from the broader party goals. Bartolotta is facing a challenge from Hal Buckton in the May primary election, and Mr. Buckton was on with John Marietta this afternoon. That interview up on our WMBS Facebook. The America 250 PA Kickoff Tour Caravan is traveling through southwest Pennsylvania to celebrate the nation's 250th anniversary and birthday of independence, with local officials and residents in Fayette, Greene, and Washington counties part of a statewide tour. The two-week tour began in Philadelphia, features rallies, speeches, and community gatherings at county courthouses, and highlights local history and patriotic spirit. The initiative is organized by the bipartisan America 250 PA Commission and builds on community art projects like the Bells Across PA Liberty Bell sculptures that were formed in all 67 counties. Pennsylvania being ranked as one of the cheapest states to give birth in. That's according to a new Money Geek report, which ranked each state's affordability for those giving birth based off of the average out-of-pocket cost for those with insurance. Pennsylvania ranked as having the fourth least costs associated with giving birth, only being beat by Maryland, Washington, D.C., and Michigan. The most expensive states are Nebraska, Oklahoma, and South Dakota. 3 high-ranking Catholic cardinals are pushing back on the United States' foreign policy.
The Archbishops of Chicago, Washington, D.C., and Newark, New Jersey issued a joint statement reiterating Pope Leo's remarks to the Vatican, calling for a return to a diplomacy that promotes dialogue. The cardinals argued against peace being sought through weapons as a condition for asserting one's own dominion. According to the cardinals, the country's moral role in confronting evil around the world, sustaining the right to life and human dignity, and supporting religious liberty are all under examination. I'm Mark Mayfield.
More next on WMBS.
Is it time for your first home? Or time to trade up to a home that fits your lifestyle? It's time to visit Clayton Homes of Belle Vernon. You'll find special savings along with trade-in and trade-up deals. Imagine beautiful, new, energy-efficient homes packed with the features you've been dreaming about. Trade in and trade up at Clayton Homes of Belle Vernon, 4500 PA 51. Trade-in value toward purchase of a new home determined by resale value and evaluation by home center manager. Additional deposit may be required.
In sports, we have high school basketball tonight. C.R. Barada Group High School Sports Night. Sprouse Insurance Group pregame is on the air at 6:40. Game at 7:30 on the radio and video on YouTube. Uniontown's at Latrobe, while Gateway's at Laurel Highlands. On the video Facebook game at 7:30 tonight on WMBS. The Penguins back in action tomorrow at the Flames at 9:30 after their win over Seattle yesterday, 6-3. And the Final Four in the NFL is set. AFC, NFC Championship games will bring the Patriots-Broncos Sunday at 3 and at 6:30. Rams at Seahawks. The Steelers have interviewed the Rams defensive coordinator Chris Shula along with the passing game coordinator Nate Scheelhaus. They're also set to interview with former NFL head coach Greenfield native Mike McCarthy and defensive coordinator who has been around in the league Anthony Weaver. Also announced today Steelers special teams coach Danny Smith going to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to be on their staff.
The local, district, and statewide news was brought to you by Clayton Homes of Belle Vernon. Is it time to find a home that fits your lifestyle? Visit Clayton Homes of Belle Vernon. You'll find special savings along with beautiful, energy-efficient homes packed with features you've been dreaming about at Clayton Homes of Belle Vernon, 4500 PA 51.
The Weather Watch is being brought to you by State Farm agent Nathan Ferguson. Call Nate at 724-438-7611 for life, home, car insurance, and more. Get a free quote now. And very cold weather here in southwest Pennsylvania, clear in 18. Went up to 21 today, the low tonight at 9, but warming up tomorrow, chance of a rain-snow mix at 42. Overnight low 34, 38 with sun Thursday, low at 23, up to 31 on Friday with a chance of late-day rain. Overnight low just brutally cold down to 2 degrees on Friday night. 14 the high Saturday. Some snow expected, a lot of snow accumulation expected. Right now we're seeing some forecasters say 9 to 11 inches, but as we get closer to Sunday, we'll update that. But we do expect snow Sunday, high at 20 and 23 on Monday. Right now, clear and 18 at 6:11 on a Tuesday. Good evening. I'm Nick Barczyk from the Davis & Davis studios in Uniontown on WMBS. More of the Afternoon Drive Show with Doug Saltzman next on WMBS. The Weather Watch has been brought to you by State Farm agent Nathan Ferguson. Nate is there for you. Call 724-438-7611 for life, home, car insurance, and more.
There's only one best lunch spot in Uniontown. Titlo Tavern and Grill on West Main Street. Serving 8-ounce Reubens, foot-long cheesesteaks and subs, half-pound handmade burgers, plus pizza, calzones, strombolis, pepperoni rolls, and fresh salads like Greek, antipasto, salmon, steak, and chicken. Open Tuesday through Thursday, 11 to 9, Friday till 10, Saturday 2 to 10. Dinner and happy hour specials nightly, and private parties are welcome. Call 724-437-6749. Titlo Tavern and Grill.
Now, you don't have to travel too far for medical marijuana products. Go to Local Leaf in Scottdale for a wide variety of locally grown and locally sourced products, plus your questions answered on medical marijuana, qualifying medical conditions, or how to register for your medical card. Local Leaf by PHG off Route 119 in Scottdale, 412-417-4964. Online at localleafpa.com. Local Leaf, your medical marijuana dispensary with locally grown and locally sourced products in Scottdale.
In 1986, the Firestone Insurance Agency in Normalville was started with a promise to provide clients with truthful, friendly, and courteous service. It worked. With an expanded client base, the Firestone Insurance Agency's customers are now able to choose from over 20 well-known insurance companies. So whether it be auto, home, business, or life, Firestone has you covered, and the promise to provide truthful, friendly, and courteous service is still in place. As an independent insurance agency, the Firestone Insurance Agency works for you. They do the shopping for you to save you time and a bunch of needless phone calls. Because let's face it, no one loves to shop for insurance. Call the office at 724-455-3900 or visit firestoneinsurance.net. Can't make it to Normalville? Let the Firestone Insurance Agency bring service right to your kitchen table. The Firestone Insurance Agency, 724-455-3900 or firestoneinsurance.net. Doing what is right for the customer, finding the most affordable rates while making sure there are no coverage gaps so you are fully protected from the unforeseen.
For professional cleaning services, Clean and Shine in New Stanton is the place for you. They provide commercial and residential cleaning, porter services, carpet cleaning, stripping and waxing, construction cleanups, and car cleaning. For free estimates, call 724-691-0413, email info@cleanandshine14.org, or visit their website, cleanandshine14.org. We clean so you can shine.
Experiencing symptoms of COPD? Frontier Clinical Research in Scottdale has been selected to conduct a clinical research study, and participants are needed. All study-related care will be provided at no cost, and no health insurance is required. Compensation up to $2,200 for qualified participants for time and travel. To learn more, call Frontier Clinical Research in Scottdale at 724-220-5281. That's Frontier Clinical Research in Scottdale at 724-220-5281.
Welcome back to the Afternoon Drive Show on a cold Tuesday out there. Right now we're looking at, 17 degrees outside our Davis & Davis Attorneys at Law Studios. I'm Doug Saltzman. That's Nick Barczyk. We are with you tonight until 6:40 when we have another C. Harper Auto Group High School Sports Night. That Sprouse Insurance Group pregame show starts at 6:40. A lot in the news lately, as always, when it comes to the CBS News has been reporting since earlier today that the Justice Department today served subpoenas to the offices of multiple Democratic officials in Minnesota, including Governor Tim Walz, Attorney General Keith Allison, and Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey, in connection with a probe into alleged conspiracy to impede federal immigration officers. Again, three sources have told that to CBS News. Joining us right now on the WVU Medicine Uniontown Hospital talk line to talk about that. Law professor from St. Vincent's College, Professor Bruce Ankowiak. Professor, thanks for joining us, sir. Happy New Year to you. I guess on the 20th, maybe that's the last time I should say Happy New Year to somebody, almost 3 weeks into the new year. So we appreciate your joining us today. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great, and Happy New Year to you, too. Why not?
There we go. All right. You wrapped it up. You had the last line on that one. We'll give you that, the Happy New Year greetings. So subpoenaing not just a governor of a state, but a former candidate for vice president, an attorney general in the state, a major city mayor. I'm guessing, we always use the word unprecedented when it comes to the Trump administration. I'm guessing this may have happened before. I'm not sure on this topic, but it's unique. Is that a good way to put it?
Oh, I think unique is an excellent way to put it. But again, this whole situation has been extraordinarily unique. The Trump administration has taken the position that in the years under the Biden administration, the borders were essentially left largely unchecked, and that during that time, a huge amount of people came here without proper authorization, that they are, by virtue of their presence here, they are committing a federal crime. And the Trump administration now intends to enforce it. The position of many others is, I'm not sure what their position is about, should we just forgive this crime? Should we just not worry about it? Should we just say, let it go? Or should we have to acknowledge that the presence here illegally violates federal law? And truly, in most countries of the world, I don't think you can just walk across the border and take up residence there without the home country having some reason to scrutinize why you're there and how long. So now when you have some organized opposition that appears at least to have received passive, if not active, support from governmental officials, you can draw a line and say these are federal officers enforcing federal law, and if they are being impeded by anyone, that is an obstruction of justice. And someone has to intervene and say that action on the part of the individuals who are obstructing it is wrong. Doug, down through time, and you and I have been around long enough time to know, different administrations have different priorities about what sort of laws they want to enforce and with what level of vigor. Some administrations, it was enforcement of the drug laws. Others, it was enforcement of white-collar crime. That's part of an executive function to decide what the priorities of law enforcement are. And the executive is answerable to the electorate. If the electorate doesn't believe that they have been properly assessing and allocating their sources in the right direction. But if it's a federal law being violated, and the federal government is enforcing that law with the resources that Congress has given it, there's no real justification for saying that people, high office or no office at all, have a warrant to obstruct that.
It's been interesting watching some of this. Of course, the judge in Milwaukee, in the Milwaukee County Courthouse, who sort of distracted ICE agents and allowed a potential detainee, an undocumented man, to escape through a private door to get him out of the courthouse. That's another example of something unprecedented, perhaps. The judge would pull a stunt like that, and I guess it culminated in that judge's resignation, correct?
Oh, yeah, and I think there was a prosecution over that as well. And again, I'm a little bit flustered as to the idea